Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do an updated character guide on Kuja, who just dropped with his FR. So in this video, I don't have his FR, I was not pulling on this at all, but I do already have his BT and his rest of his kit. Now my BT isn't green, but what I might do is I might bring him in with an Ultima weapon to see what kind of damage he can do with his rework. And then if I can find a friend Kuja, I mean, he literally just dropped, like I'm recording this like right away. But if there happens to be a friend unit, it looks like they have the FR, I'll grab them. Otherwise, I'll just kind of explain it. So for those of you unfamiliar with Kuja, he's pretty much just a holy enchant and peril damage dealer, and he specializes a little bit in AoE damage, right? So in this video, we're going to look at his calls, his artifacts, and spheres, and see what he's looking like with his upgrades and reworks to see how good he actually is, right? His calls aren't very notable at all, to be honest. Like Ring Holy, all it does is it puts a debuff on with a Holy Imperil and a speed down. That's really, and that's just like an attack, right? And then Seraphic Star is just his big LD attack. Now, some people might want to use this like Science LD. We'll see with the rework how powerful it actually is, but maybe people just bring it as a powerful attacking LD, but it literally has like no color effect on it. It just does holy damage, right? So I really don't see a lot of use for his calls. Unless for some reason you need an on-the-spot, like, a holy resist. But, like, if you want the holy resist, you probably are already holy enchanting. And if somebody's already holy enchanting, they typically are going to imperil anyway. So I don't really see a situation where you're going to want just the holy imperil if you're not already carrying that in the party, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't really worry about the call. Let's go ahead and look at his artifacts and his spheres. So for his artifacts, I would say attack 108, max brave 330, or what you could do is you could do attack 108 and mighty Ultima. The reason why is mighty Ultima, like Ultima is going to be like your kind of go-to like regular damaging attack. So you're going, we usually don't recommend like the 2-star abilities of the normal attacks, but like if it's an attack you're going to use a lot, you definitely can do that. So I'd say Ultima would definitely be the one to go with if you want to go that route. Another notable one that he has is attack 108 and Soul Conductor boost. But Soul Conductor boost, it's a 5% max brave and speed up, and really speed isn't that important of a stat, so you're really just looking at the 5% max brave, and I think by doing max brave 330, that's going to be better than 5% anyways, so I would just go with attack 108 max brave 330, so that's what I'm going with. His spheres are pretty easy. He's a pretty straightforward damage dealer, so you just want brave damage and attack on him. So his own sphere is actually very good on him. It is a 10% brave damage up if you do AoE damage. So since he's an AoE specialist, that's a great sphere you can put on him. And then Rydia's is very good because he does weakness damage, so you're going to get attack and brave damage with that one. But once again, A slot is super flexible. A ton of options you can pick. Just pick ones that will work for Kuja that he can fulfill, right? And then the D slot, just pick any D slot that does an attack up for the party. I happen to have Saz on mine. This was before Luna Freya came out. I think this is a great spot. You could use a Luna Freya Refined Sphere if you have one, because that's just weakness damage and you're going to get party attack up, right? So any of those standard D slots I always talk about for party attack up, just use one of those. Just don't do Waka, because he doesn't get enough buffs to fulfill Wakas. So with that, we'll hop in, but what I'll do here is let's go ahead and throw the Ultima weapon on. So you'll notice I have an extra burst here. So on my free multi, of course, I got trolled again because I didn't record these because I was just doing the free multi. But I actually wouldn't, I really wanted Dark Knight Cecil's burst because that would have been a fun burst to have for free. Of course, I didn't get it on his side, but then I go on the Kuja side and I get it, and I already had his burst. So it'll just be 5 BT tokens for me. But sure, let's grab that off of Sice. We'll get the Ultima weapon on our boy here. Okay, so we've got that, and with that, I think we're ready to hop in. So this is, you know, Force Enhanced level 10, and the Lufenia armor is not blued. So, but we do have the Ultima weapon. So this is kind of the standard build I've been doing for like my not full invest characters, but we still get a good look of what they're looking like here, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and hop in. I mean, let's see, does somebody happen to have a Kuja up already? They would be the GOAT if they did. Anybody got a Kuja FR? Probably not. 1, he's not a desirable friend unit. 2, not a lot of people are pulling for him. And 3, it has literally been 15 minutes since he's dropped. So I doubt anyone's like gotten to the point of like building him and then already have him as the friend unit, which is fine. So we'll just hop in like this. Sure, we'll just grab that selfie. That's fine. Since I don't have his FR, I'm not going to worry about going into an FR phase, but we will make sure to talk about what it does, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and hop in here. And what you want to do is, I would say his turn order, or like his cycle of attacks, you can pretty much do what you want, except I usually want to start with, you want to get his Holy Imperil down, which he doesn't have. So you get that on his skill 1 or his LD. So you want to start with one of those. So let's go ahead and quick prayer our boy right away so we can get some turns. That looks good there. And then what I'll do is I won't play around. I guess we could put a heavy prayer on him. Sure, let's put a heavy prayer on him. Give him a little bit extra damage. I want to see what he's looking like here. Now, Kuja is a character, I think he can do fine in single target fights, but you don't want to use his FR in single target fights, so we'll talk about that. Alright, and then let's go ahead, I guess since we got it, we'll just pop a free energy heal. Okay. And then we'll just pop a couple of attacks here, and we'll pass to Rem, and then we'll have Rem pass it back to Kuja. Okay, and we'll go with the BT effect. So we're going to put all the big auras up, you know, we're going to see in like an ideal situation what he's going to be looking like. And my Kuja, it's basically just an FR-less Kuja, and with the weapon, like, we're really going to see what he would look like, kind of, like, pretty built out, right? Now, my BT phase will be weaker, which actually I could just roll into a BT phase, couldn't I? Maybe that's what I'll do. On Kuja's first setup here, we'll just roll into a BT phase. So I'll do, like, 2 attacks, then we'll roll into a BT phase, and we'll just call it good, right? Sure, let's just do the LD here with Rem. But yeah, this should be a pretty quick little showcase. He's pretty simple, actually. Alright. So, what I would recommend is actually starting with Ring Holy. The reason why I start with Ring Holy is because it does put his Imperil down. And he starts with 6 turns of his LD buff, which is the overhead. And you typically want to save the LD either for refreshing the buff or for big damage during a force time, right? So let's start with Ring Holy. The big thing with Ring Holy that I'll say, let's see what the damage is. Okay, 700k AoE, that's pretty decent. The thing with Ring Holy is it's alternating attacks. It doesn't hit the enemies at the same time. So when you're trying to do break order, it can get kind of frustrating. What you want to do is, like, let's say, so like right here, I guess I'll do an example. So right now I'd want to break enemy A, right? Because he's the one that's the farthest back. So you actually want to target the opposite enemy. He's actually going to hit the other enemy before the one you target if it's 2 targets. So let me Ring Holy again just to demonstrate that. And then you can see it broke in the proper order. Now the attacks come really quick, but if I would have done it the other way, the enemies would have just broke back and forth and not actually moved back. So keep that in mind. Now with 3 target, it's a little bit more complicated. You can look at the Tonberry Troop. Well, here, I'll try to explain it, I guess. But there is on the Tonberry Troops infographic, they do explain it for 3 targets. So I'll explain it really quick. So if you have 3 enemies, and it would be A, B, and C, and let's say A is the left enemy, right? If you hit the middle enemy, it's going to hit the left enemy first. If you hit the left enemy, which would be target A, it's going to hit the middle enemy first. So A and B just kind of alternate off of each other. So that's just what you have to remember. If it's the left 2 characters you're targeting, okay? And then target C, which is the far right character, it's actually going to target A, which is the far left character. Because all that really matters is who's the person that's going to hit first, because you want that for proper break order, right? I guess, yeah, because you really can't control after that, right? So, yeah, just keep that in mind. So, if that was hard to understand, you can look at the Tonberry Troop guide, but in case you're worried about turn order, that is one thing to keep in mind with Ring Holy, right? So what I'm going to do is, let's just hop into Burst Phase, and I can just show off the rest of his kit, right? No reason to kind of play around. So next, let's go ahead and do Ultima. So Ultima is a big AoE attack, and actually, let's go over Ring Holy and make sure I didn't miss anything here. So Ring Holy, yeah, it's just a holy alternating attack that you saw there. He gets a buff called Soul Cleave 4. And it's going to be a Max Brave and Brave Regen scaled off of iBrave. And then it enables the plus version of Ring Holy and Ultima when it's at 4 stacks. So you just want to make sure you keep Soul Cleave at 4 stacks to get the plus versions. And then we're going to do Ultima Plus. Ultima Plus does have high turn rate, so you sometimes can jump turns when you use it. So let's pop that. Alright, yeah, a mil AoE, I mean, that's pretty good damage, right? And so that also gives him Soul Cleave, and then it's Max Brave up and Max Attack up. So because his attacks are refreshing the Soul Cleave, like, he's pretty much going to keep it up. You just want to make sure you don't let that fall off so that you don't lose the plus versions of those attacks, right? Then let's go ahead and show off the EX, which is Symphonic Force. And let's see what the damage looks like. Okay, so about 800k AoE. So he's hanging in the about like 1 mil AoE range, which is pretty decent. That also gives him the Soul Cleave buff. And then another buff called the Darkness of Eternity. Darkness of Eternity is a party attack and speed up. And then it makes it so that Soul Cleave is not dispelled after using the plus skills. So basically this buff is important because it basically keeps you in your plus skills. Because without that, if you used an attack, the plus version, Soul Cleave would fall off and you'd have to refresh it. This makes it so that it doesn't go away. So that's really, really good. And you just upkeep the plus versions of your skills, right? Next, let's do Seraphic Star. And I'm curious on the damage because this is one of the attacks that was a big part of his rework. Let's see what this damage is like. Okay, 1.3 AoE, like that's fairly good damage, right? Decent for AoE damage. I'm not like mega blown away by it, but it's good damage, right? 1.3 mil, you can't complain about that. So once again, another holy attack. It does give him a skill use of skill 1 and skill 2, so that's going to help his longevity. It gives him 12 turns of his overhead, so you notice our overhead at quest start had 6. Now it's going to be buffed up to 12, which is good. That Terra's Crystal is a self-holy enchant, an attack, in a max brave up, overflow stolen up, HP damage up, and then elemental weakness damage up. Then the party also gets holy enchant, and then attack, max brave, overflow stolen, HP damage up, and elemental weakness damage up. So the overhead's important because it does have party auras in it, right, that you want to make sure you're upkeeping. And then it puts a debuff on the enemies called Melodies of Life. This is the one that the LD call does. So it is just an imperil and a speed down. Nothing that great, actually. That debuff, not too crazy, right? So Kuja here, we'll finish up with another Ultima. He's not a character I feel like that's going to blow you away right now. Like, he's kind of like Dark Knight Cecil. Like, if you invest in him, he can put up big numbers. But, like, does he outdo other damage dealers? Not really, right? Like, he can just do his thing. If you're a fan of him and want to use him, sure. Let's do the BT, and we'll talk about the BT effect, and then we'll end with talking about his force conditions and see what that's looking like. So let's see what Flare Star does. Now, the damage here won't be as good because mine's not green. I would expect this to be probably like 1.3 mil AoE normally. That one was a lot weaker because, once again, we weren't plus. But let's talk about what the burst does. So the BT is going to be a 6-turn party buff. This is, and I'm talking about if you have it green. Mine is not green, so you notice it's only 5 turns. But normally it's a 6-turn buff. Brave damage up, brave damage limit up, HP damage limit up. And the HP damage limit is new that came with his rework. And then it does do a 50% holy enchant, so it's going to add 50% more damage onto your holy damage. And then overflow stolen up. So it just carries some generic buffs. Like, there's nothing like crazy exciting about Kuja, honestly. He's just very much a holy damage dealer. He doesn't have a lot of utility. His auras are alright, but like, there's a lot of better characters I think you can run. And then here's the thing, I do feel like the FR is flawed also. So let me talk about the FR. So the force time effect is going to be party HP damage and limit up, which is good, right? But only when you're doing AoE damage. So you got to be running an AoE team comp. Now, his force conditions are this. You do holy damage 20%. That's easy because he's enchanting. So that's like a 4-free, right? Then AoE brave damage is 30%. And then 50% if it's Kuja. So basically, if a non-Kuja does AoE holy damage, it's plus 50%. If Kuja does it, it's 70%. So it's decent and it's easy to get off as long as you're bringing... Basically, if you're bringing non-elemental AoE units, like, everybody's going to hit that. Now, the reason why I think his FR is flawed is if you are in a single target fight or there's only one enemy left, even if you're selecting AoE attacks, the game still considers it single target, so you're going to miss out on his force conditions. So Kuja still does good damage against single target himself, but his FR essentially gets locked out of single target fights, so you can't use it. So I just feel like Kuja isn't like the craziest right now, but if you like him, definitely go for him. But I think this is very skippable. We've got a community stream actually coming up. I think, is it tomorrow? Yeah, community stream tomorrow. So we might get some exciting news, but I did do a BT token guide to talk about like some of the characters coming up. I will do my poll plans tomorrow night, so you guys can kind of see what's coming and what you want to use your resources on. So anyways, let me know what y'all think of Kuja. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.